Hello, gathered friends. I'm Nuva, and welcome to Bionicle Deep Dive, where we analyze the tropes, characters, and lore of LEGO Bionicle. In this video, we're going to be breaking down the powers and abilities of the Toa, the main heroes of Bionicle, to see if we can get a full measure of what they're capable of. Let's dive right into it. So let's start off with their physical abilities. Toa are 7-foot tall biomechanical warriors, and have all the superhuman physical traits that go along with that. Toa have immense strength, speculated to be able to lift at least 1 ton, if not more. Tahu once noted that even without a mask of strength, a Toa should be able to lift and toss a felled tree without too much difficulty. The strength is also proportionally superhuman, as despite their heavy mechanical bodies, Toa have been able to leap great distances of several dozen feet or more. How much their strength translates to agility varies based on element, as Toa of Earth and Stone are shown to have more bulk strength than typical, but are less agile, though are still capable of some pretty impressive feats of agility. Toa also have incredible durability, owing to their strong mechanical armor. They've been shown to survive boulders falling on them, large explosions, and powerful energy attacks. Greg Varsty, the author of the novels, has also stated that he believes their armor would be bulletproof. Their survivability also stems from a very strong healing factor for their organic components, with even moderate damage to their organic parts not leaving lasting injuries, and they being able to fight at full strength after only a short time recovering. The most extreme example of their healing ability came from the Toa Mata when they first arrived on the island of Matanui. When they had arrived, they were disassembled after 1,000 years of their organic parts having decomposed within the canisters they were in. Now, the canisters had a stasis effect that kept them preserved, but it is still noted that they were able to completely regrow their organic parts within minutes of putting themselves back together, showing an amazing vitality. This healing factor could also play into the tremendous stamina that they display. While it isn't clear if their stamina is truly superhuman, it is definitely peak human at the minimum, with them being able to engage in hours of on and off battles and sprinting with only a few minutes of rest in between before running out of steam. In addition to their abilities, Toa wield a wide variety of tools and weapons with great skill. They've been shown wielding large weapons one-handed. Most often, they use melee weapons like swords, axes, and claws, though they also have used ranged weapons like blasters and explosives. Sometimes these tools will just be tools, though many times they're imbued with any one of a variety of powers themselves. My personal favorites are when they can transform their tools from weapons into modes of transportation. It's just so cool. Probably the most notable abilities of the Toa are their incredible elemental powers, giving them command and mastery over a force of nature. They can create elemental blasts and control large or small amounts of their elements. Toa have been shown to be capable of very fine control over their element, and can manipulate it into a wide variety of shapes, such as when Vakama created a barred cage of fire, or Helrix making spikes out of still liquid water to pin someone to a wall without harming them. The ability of a Toa to control their element is largely tied to their willpower and imagination. The larger the amount, or the finer the control, the more focus they need, sometimes needing to stop and concentrate for several seconds before some of their more impressive feats. With concentration, Toa have been shown controlling hundreds or even thousands of tons worth of material from their element, and possess enough fine control for a Toa of fire to make a pinpoint beam of flame several meters away, underwater, to fuse pieces of metal together. That's impressive. So, most Toa exist on the same level of power, with differences in ability mostly being related to skill and experience rather than innate power. The biggest exception to this is obviously the Toa Nuva, who, due to their transformation, gained increased power over their elements. They can create much larger elemental blasts, and most notably, have enough control to create timed elemental attacks, such as when Pohatu Nuva set it in motion for every stone in the Dark Hunter Fortress to crumble to dust a full hour after he left. Toa can create or control natural phenomena tied to their element, such as summoning storms or earthquakes. They can also control variations of their element that are made of protodermis, like liquid protodermis being controlled by Toa of water, or solid protodermis being controlled by Toa of stone. In addition to controlling their element, they also have a very strong attunement to it, and can sense changes within it as well as whether or not it's in its natural state. Some examples include Toa of Water, being able to sense changes in the rivers and oceans, Toa of Earth, being able to feel vibrations in the ground, and Toa of Fire, being able to locate objects via heat signatures. A Toa's elemental powers are tied to their stamina, and overusing their elemental powers within a short time will drain and exhaust them. Their elemental energy will recharge over time with rest, but if it completely runs out, they won't be able to use their powers for a time, sometimes up to a full day. Experienced Toa are capable of controlling and rationing their energy use so they don't run out, but novice Toa can quickly exhaust themselves. Knowledge of what a Toa is and isn't capable of can play a huge factor in how skilled new Toa are with their powers. The Toa Metru, who had relatively sheltered lives before becoming heroes, had difficulty controlling their elements and rationing their powers, such as when they fought the Morbuzak and Kraka and ended up wasting most of their energy to the point where they could barely show off any of their powers by the time they went to the Colosseum. The Toa Nika, on the other hand, had spent significant amounts of time as Matoran fighting alongside the Toa Mata, and when it came to using their elements, were able to imitate their heroes effectively. The more Toa learns and practices, the more skilled they can become, and with dedication, a novice Toa can master their powers enough to be effective in combat within a few days. And once mastered, these skills are firmly imprinted on the Toa, like a form of muscle memory, and even Toa who've had their memories erased will be able to use their elemental powers almost on instinct. Toa can manipulate and control existing pieces of their element in their environment, but can also create their element from their bodies. Toa have a store of elemental energy contained within their bodies that they can draw from to manifest their elements around them. They can also absorb their element into their bodies, converting the physical matter into elemental energy. They can do this to recharge their energy, but there is a limit to how much they can store. If they absorb more than this limit, they will only be able to hold it for a matter of seconds before releasing it in a powerful blast. The most powerful elemental ability Toa possess is the Nova Blast, where they release all of their elemental energy in one enormous blast of power. The strength of a Nova Blast is comparable to a nuclear explosion, with it being speculated that one would destroy most, if not all, of the city of Metru Nui. As such, Toa rarely use this ability, and only in an extremely desperate last resort. The only Nova Blast ever fully used in story was that by Gali Nuva, who used it in the realm of Karzani to defeat Makuta Icarax before he could kill her team. Gali drew every bit of moisture for hundreds of miles around, creating a 1,000-foot-tall tidal wave that shattered buildings, leveled everything in Karzani, and forced Icarax, the most powerful warrior in the Brotherhood of Makuta, to retreat. Toa are also capable of combining their elemental powers to produce even greater effects, such as when a Toa of Air and Water combine their abilities to summon thunderstorms, or a Toa of Fire and a Toa of Stone working together to control magma. The most powerful of all combinations is the Toa Seal, which happens when 6 Toa of different elements combine their powers at the same time, creating a barrier of pure protodermis. The protodermis created by this merger is indestructible, and the only way to break the seal is for the Toa to combine their elemental powers again at the same spot. Any other attempt to break it will fail, as not only is it incredibly hard, but the energy contained within the seal will seemingly retaliate against whoever tries to break it, as even attempting to carve off a small sliver of Makuta's prison nearly cost Rudaka her life. Toa are also able to use Konoe masks of power to grant them additional superhuman abilities. There are more mask power types than I feel like listing in this video, but a full comprehensive list can be found on Bisector 01. Toa are able to use Great Masks, the highest level of Standard Mask. They can also use the slightly weaker Noble Masks, but more often opt for the Great Masks due to the higher power level. The ability to use mask powers is tied to the wearer's willpower and concentration, requiring a good deal of mental discipline to maintain. It was shown with the Toa Metru that mask powers are more difficult for new Toa to learn than elemental powers, as they begin to use their elemental powers within a few hours after transforming, whereas it took them days to figure out their masks, and only after making some significant personal insights did they gain the mental discipline to activate them. This may have been compounded by the fact that at least some of them didn't even know what their mask powers were. Turagali Khan was able to give 3 of them exercises that would train them to figure out their masks on their own. Now, the Toa in Nika were able to master their masks much more quickly due to their Konoe being organic and somewhat alive, with their masks almost seeming to help them along. Like elemental powers, once mask powers are mastered, it becomes a reflexive skill, like muscle memory, and the Toa Mata were able to use their masks with no issue despite having their memories erased. Toa are also able to activate and use legendary masks, though this has been shown to be extremely difficult and require intense concentration that is hard to maintain. It is unknown if a Toa could eventually develop the incredible willpower to master use of a legendary mask, as the legendary masks have only been used in one-off instances. While most Toa have one primary mask that they use, they can possess a variety of masks that they can switch between. Toa can form a mental link with the Suva Shrine, where they store their extra masks, and can mentally switch between masks by teleporting their old mask to the Suva and the new one to their face. Some places imply that the limit of masks one Suva can hold is 6, though a Toa can also draw from more than one Suva, such as when they were allowed to borrow the Turaga's noble masks. Toa need to wear their masks to stay at full power. Without a mask on, their energy is halved. The most mysterious and mystical ability Toa have access to is Toa Power, a potent energy within them that primarily seems to have strong positive and healing capabilities. Toa have sometimes described it as the power of Matanui flowing through them. Unlike their elemental energies, Toa Power is distinctly finite and will not replenish over time, meaning that any that is spent is gone for good. Toa Power has the ability to heal even the most grievous mortal injuries, such as when the Toa Metru healed Gralak the Ash Bear. One of the most spectacular feats of Toa Power was when the 6 Toa Metru used all of their combined Toa Power to reawaken the entire population of the city of Metronui, after the Torn had been put into endless sleep by Makuta. Toa Power is also used in the creation of new Toa. Destined Matorn are said to have latent Toa Power within them that is activated when they come in contact with Toa Power from an external source, causing them to fully transform into a new Toa. To induce this transformation, an existing Toa will place a small portion of their power into an object, usually a Toa Stone, though it can technically be anything. When imbuing an object with their power, Toa have to be careful not to spend too much. Putting all of his power into 6 stones drained Toa Likan of all of his remaining power, though it is unknown how much he may have already spent in his long career as a Toa. It is known that Likan hurriedly creating 6 stones all by himself was breaking the norm for an emergency, as this was not how it usually happened. The Toa Metru were able to put some of their power into 1 stone each without losing too much. After fulfilling their destiny, Toa are often given a choice to give up their Toa power for the greater good. If they choose to give up their powers, or if they had already spent their powers by the time they fulfilled their destiny, they will be transformed into a Turaga for the rest of their lives. They shrink back down to slightly taller than a Matoran, losing much of their elemental powers, and only being able to use noble masks. As Turaga, they are respected leaders of Matoran communities, having been Toa who completed their destinies, and used the wisdom they gained during their time as heroes to guide their people. One of the more rarely used abilities of Toa is fusion, where multiple Toa merge their bodies and mind to form a new, more powerful entity. While multiple types of fusion have been alluded to, the main one we see is the Toa Kaita, where 3 Toa merge into 1. The Toa Kaita were incredibly powerful, wielding the combined elemental and mask powers, and also drawing upon the combined intelligence and personalities of all 3 of their component parts. Strong focus on unity must be maintained to sustain a Kaita, and if the Toa get out of sync, the fusion will dissolve. Well, those are the various powers and abilities of the Toa from BIONICLE. These are some very powerful heroes, and they've used these abilities, along with their intelligence and courage, to overcome many great challenges. What do you guys think about how powerful the Toa are? And how do you think they might fare against powerful beings from other fictional stories? Let me know in the comments, and I'll see you guys soon. Take care, my gathered friends.